Hello everyone, my name is Joyous. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to cope with failure. I know I'm someone that has, I feel like I failed I've failed a lot in my life. And I feel like I'm still, experiencing some shame when it comes to these things, or like I'm getting over it now. If you can see how squirmish I am when it comes to talking about this, it's because coping with failure is something that I've been working on for like the longest time. And it's a journey, and I want to share with you what I've gotten so far when it comes to coping with failure. Like I failed at a startup, and that startup was I was raising thousands of dollars for that startup, and that was something big. And I wouldn't consider myself a failure in my writing career yet, just because I just got started. But um, I have yet to receive. I've gotten at least 60 rejections from literary agents for the current job or the current book that I'm, pitching right now. But the first thing I want to talk about is recognizing that failure means that you're trying. You're not someone that's just sitting around and like, we're going to go into some celebrities that um, have some quotes about failure that I think readily resonate with this idea. But yeah, recognize that failure means that you're trying. Fall down 7 times, you get up 8 times. You've gotten up way more than the person that didn't move in the first place, that just stayed where they are. And it means that you're reaching out of your comfort zone. And that's where your dream life lives. I think that it's very important to recognize that when you're working towards something, like failure is inevitable. People who are too afraid of failure never get anywhere in life. They never can succeed. If you're not resilient enough to and then failure builds resilience. Like it's something that comes to you as you are working towards something and building outside of your comfort zone. For example, like this is literally the way our bodies work. Like for example, weightlifters lift until failure of their muscles, because when you're lifting, like your muscles are breaking down, like ripping apart, and then building up stronger after every session. And like that's how you build bigger muscles, is like traumatizing them basically, and like killing them and like ripping them apart, and then they have to rebuild together in order to, you know, they build back stronger and thicker and more, resolved. And this is how we build resilience in our muscles, and this is how we build resilience in our bodies and like in our minds and in our whatever we're working towards. Like for me, every time I post a video and it only gets like 5 views, I'm failing, and I'm failing up, and I'm doing something that like I was not too afraid to do. Or like I've been too afraid because I'm like, oh my god, no one likes my videos. Like I'm going to fail upwards eventually. Like there's gonna be a community that likes my stuff. Eventually, there's always an audience. There's always an audience. The next thing I want to talk about is that recognizing all of the successes that you got to go into that failure. Like the small wins are still wins. And when I talk about all of the successes that you got to go into that failure, it's like, for example, for me, like I failed at my startup, and like I raised like $40,000 for this startup. I also learned how to prepare business materials like business pitch decks or like business plans, and I also learned how to pitch in front of people, so like my speaking skills got higher. I just learned a lot, and I grew a lot of skills during this time in my life. I did, and I feel like I'm so proud of like only like I think 1% or less than 1% of startup owners or CEO founders um, actually raise money for their business or like their idea. And then even of that 1% of that is a Black woman. That's I feel so proud of myself for doing that, and that's still a win. But I wasn't able to like finish out with the startup because I just it wasn't where I wanted to be. But yeah, did you like small wins are still wins, and like if you are doing stuff towards that goal, like did you post the video? Did you write a whole book? Did you build an entire video game? Did you paint the whole thing? Like are you like you're still winning, and there's these all these small wins that will lead you to a bigger win eventually if you keep working outside of your comfort zone. Your failures train you for something more in life, and like you learn a lot when you fail. Way more than you did if you didn't try at all. Like way more than you did if you didn't try at all. So recognize all the successes that got you to that failure, and like all of the wins and the skills that you've gained when you were doing that and like got you to the failure. So yeah, like you've learned a lot, you're growing a lot, and you've recognized more about yourself. The next thing I want to talk about is studying people who have failed in the past and still succeeded. Doing this makes you feel less alone because guess what? You're not the first person who failed. Like, there are plenty of highly successful people who have failed before earlier in life and before all the fans and fame and accolade came. Like, for example, Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first TV anchor job in Baltimore, and now she's Oprah Winfrey. She has her own channel. She gives away cars. She's, you know, a I think a billionaire at this point. I'm pretty sure she's a billionaire. But one quote that she said is that there is no such thing as failure. Failure is just life trying to move us in another direction. And I think about the idea of rejection is redirection. Like, that is something that I think about a lot when it comes to failure, but rejection is redirection. It's just directing us in another, path. I think is very important. And like for me, yeah, like my startup, I'm not a tech bro. Like, I'm not someone that can really. I'm not a futurist. Or maybe I'm a little bit of a futurist. I'm starting to get into Chat GPT, but yeah, like there is no such thing as failure. Failure is just life trying to move us in another direction. Yeah, without the startup and like without failing at that startup, like I would still be doing something that I probably hated, because I just didn't want to get it off the ground. Like, I just did not want to do the first step it took to get the actual MVP going. Like, I just wanted to hire people and delegate everything, um, because I just didn't want to do it. I just knew I didn't want to do that thing. And then Stephen King, the famous author, his first book, or like one of his books, Carrie, the famous movie and book, was rejected 30 times before he was accepted and launched his career. And like there was a point after the 30th time he like threw away the manuscript and was like, "Oh, this is crap, like I'm not going to do anything with this." And his wife was the one that pulled it out of the trash and was like, "No, keep going. This is good. This was fun, keep going." So, yeah, and I would say nowadays, like, it takes way more than 30 rejections for the average author to, get their book off the ground. Like, I saw someone's chart, like, they reached out to 200 author or 200 literary agents before they got to a, literary agent that accepted them. And like, you don't even like ask publishers anymore directly. Like, you have to talk to literary agents before you get into the publisher world. It's a whole thing. It's a real mess in the writing world right now. But I think it's just more accessible for people. So like, rejected 30 times. Like, for me, I'm like, geez, that's so nice, from publishers themselves, and he got published, whatever. Anyway, Vincent van Gogh. Vincent van Gogh, he never saw success in his life. In his living life, that boy never saw success. Like, he was broke. His brother was bankrolling him most of his life. He was mentally ill. He was painting in psychiatric hospitals, and he could not get rid of his paintings. He could not get rid of his paintings. Like, no one wanted his paintings while he was alive, you know? And then after he was dead, I think his brother sold some of his paintings, and like, now we have Vincent Van Mother effing Gogh. Okay? Now we got Vincent Van Gogh. And this is a quote that's credited to him. I'm not sure if this is, but yeah, it says, "Success is sometimes the outcome of a whole string of failures." Success is sometimes the outcome of a whole string of failures. And I think he, was prophetic in the fact that he was someone that was going to, become famous after his death. It sucks that he had to die in order for him to see his success, but I hope he's somewhere, you know, like, dang, look at all those. I think it's Vincent Van Gogh that has that building where in the Netherlands with all the sunflowers. I hope he's sitting there, thinking to himself, wow, I did this. I did something, whatever. Now, this person I want to talk about, and I'm trying not to, like, I'm in the mesoteric where there's no good and or bad, like all things are a gift. You can see the good in everything. J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling, I know she's, she's on some rampage for the past few years when it comes to trans people. A rampage. I don't understand where it's coming from. But yeah, like, but she's one of the richest women alive now. She has one of the most popular book series under her belt right now. Like, she wrote Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter, okay? But she was when she first started writing it, she was broke and depressed and divorced, and she was a single mother, and she was studying for school, and a lot of publishers rejected her. And now here J.K. Rowling is spending all of her time on social media talking about trans people, and not having to worry about a thing in her life. Like, her failure and like all of that stuff that came into her life beforehand led her to where she is today, which is someone that is rich as heck, who can spend her free time doing as she pleases, talking about the things that she cares about. But yeah. And then the last person I want to bring up here is Jesus. If you believe that he actually like existed in the past, and like it's not just a story that was created in order to like create a religion or whatever. Like, if you believe in Jesus and that Jesus was a real human being, Jesus was trying to start a following, and like he was trying to teach people about his teachings and like about God and like about his father. And he was literally crucified. He was literally crucified. And look where that guy is today. Look where that guy is today. Like, I mean, the Crusades happened because of him. Like, Christianity is a whole thing because of him. This Jewish guy who was trying to just get some teachings going and, get some disciples and, touch people and heal the world or whatever. In his life, he was crucified for it. But after his life, he's now a sensation. He's now sensational. Sensational. Yes. So yeah, there are plenty of highly successful people who failed earlier in their life or in their life, before all the fame and accolades came. So study the people that are in your industry and learn from them, and like, feel a little bit of community within that situation. Like, yeah. Like, yeah, for me, I what's it called? Teal Swan is someone that I don't even really want to like say that I enjoy, but I keep bringing her up because she's someone that I do enjoy and I feel like I resonate with a lot. She was diagnosed, and like I've had some stints with mental health stuff before, but she was diagnosed with bipolar, schizophrenia, depression, anxiety. She was diagnosed with a bunch of stuff, and here she is today doing what she does. And I think it's very inspiring for me, for someone in that industry, to have failed so well that she's now a successful spiritual teacher. Another thing I want to talk about was it really failure, or was it divine protection or guidance? Like I said, rejection is redirection. What may not work out for you might have been a blessing in disguise. And for example, the older I get and like the farther away I get from the startup, like, and maybe this is just the brain's way of like coping and like trying to make sense of stuff. But like, I see how I wasn't really someone that was built for the app that I wanted to do. And like, maybe later in my life I might become that person, but right now it's not something that I wanted to do. And I'd much rather do creative endeavors and build an audience and like build community online than I wanted to raise money with investors and start a tech company and um, try to like hire people to get an app going and like try to work with companies to give me their information, because what company wants to give them their information? Whatever. That's what my startup was about. I don't feel like talking about my startup. Or like the ins and outs and the nuts and bolts of it. But yeah, and like, okay, was it divine protection or guidance? Like, was it really a failure? Like, was it, the universe or God or whatever you believe in trying to guide you to somewhere else or something else, Like, even if you don't believe this yet, can you start to believe that you're still just as capable to do great things as anyone else? Like, don't let this one failure take you away from the fact that you're still just as capable. You're still just as human as Jesus was, as Oprah was, as Stephen King was, as J.K. Rowling is. They should all be is, except Jesus. I think they're all alive right now, except Jesus. I know. Well, they say what they say. Jesus is alive and well and in our hearts. Anyway, stop. Let me stop making fun of Christianity. Because, like, you guys believe in someone that, like, rose up again? I don't know. It sounds like a lie. I'm drinking cantaloupe juice right now. It's very thick. But yeah, even if you don't believe this yet, can you start to believe that you're still just as capable to do the great things as anyone else is? Like, you're not someone that has to, think that you're just nothing, that you failed, and like that's the one thing that you're a failure. You're a failure now. Like, you don't have to believe that about yourself. And the last thing I want to talk about is building your confidence again. I have a video out, or I will have a video out, or I have had a video out called How to Build Your Confidence or Become Confident Again. And confidence is really just being able to be relaxed in the present moment. And for me, I want to talk about overconfidence versus underconfidence and how both of these things can lead to poor performance. And you might have been underconfident with your failure. You might have been overconfident before your failure. I know I was overconfident before my failure. Like, I know for me personally, like, I wasn't seeing all the blind spots that I had, or like all the things I need to do before I failed at this startup. And like, yeah, like, I was overconfident and I didn't see everything I needed to see in the present moment in order to actually be successful in that present moment. And then underconfidence is when you don't move at all, or you're too scared to move, or you're very insecure in your movements and people can read that about you. So underconfidence leads you to, like, for me, when it comes to my YouTube channel, like, I'm so skittish about posting, or I have been in the past, because I'm like, what if no one likes it? What if this happens? What if this happens? Da-da-da. And yeah, like, you're not going to get far with overconfidence or underconfidence. Like, it's time to just be relaxed in the present moment as you're working on stuff. And and then confidence is all about, and this is going to be something I'm going to talk about in my video, but it's all about taking action. It's all about, like, confidence isn't built before you act, but it's built after you act. And like, it's important for you to take action in order to move past this failure. Or, I mean, if you need to grieve, it's time to grieve. Like, for me, I took years to grieve my startup failure, before I really started to take, anything else seriously in my life. I wrote a book, but like, yeah, I'm starting to take other content creation seriously as well. And yeah, like, just build your confidence again. So today we talked about recognizing that failure means that you're trying, recognizing all the successes that got you to that failure, studying people who have failed in the past and still succeeded, asking yourself, was it really failure, or was it divine protection or guidance? And finally, it's time to build your confidence again. These are the things we talked about with this video, how to cope with failure, and I hope you enjoyed watching. Please comment down below, like, what are you coping with when it comes to your failure? Like, what are you healing from right now? If you feel comfortable doing that, it would really bring light for me, and like, I would love to see and hear what you're healing from at this very point in time. And if not, just let me know what you think about this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you on a later date. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.